Okay, if he's here, he'll join us. He is Senior Vice President and Head Legal at Spencer's Retail Limited. Please welcome Mr. G.R. Srikanth. He is Director Skechers South Asia Private Limited. A warm welcome to Lakshay Nijavan. He is Director New Business Ventures and Chief Executive Officer Phantom Solutions Bosch STS. Please welcome Manan Chandra. He is Head HSE NHQ Operations Reliance Retail. Please welcome Nishant Patel. Rajeshwari Shukla. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our panel discussion, and I'll hand the proceedings over to our distinguished moderator, Mr. Naveen Malpani. Over to you, sir.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we just settle down, please?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this panel on collaborative efforts in promoting sustainability. You know, sustainability has actually become a buzzword across the corporate world. While it is giving sleepless nights to some of the CFOs and CEOs, but we do see a lot of efforts being taken by the multinationals as well as the Indian corporates in promoting sustainability agenda as a whole. Look at the external environment. You know, India is going to be the most populous country, overtaking China, and also we'll have nearly 27% of our population sitting in the 15 to 29 years age bracket. So we will have a lot of younger population that would be there. You know, that would be a big consumer for this market. You know, you look at the typical tendencies of those people buying those products. They will be into mobiles, they will be into mobiles, automobiles, they will be into buying a lot of stuff from air conditioning, etc. So we have a very large consumer base, which is in that millennium zone. If you look at it from a perspective of the external environment, India still consumes coal, oil, biomass for doing a lot of energy. For doing a lot of energy consumptions, you know. Look at external data, we'll be the world's third most largest carbon emitter by 2030. Look at the air quality index across the globe. 3 of the cities of the worst 11 are in India: Bombay, Delhi and Calcutta. So ladies and gentlemen, we do have a lot of problems on sustainability, on pollution, on the environmental perspective, you know. Look at it from a perspective of the regulatory environment as well. You know, SEBI just actually came up with a thought paper as latest as yesterday, where they are actually making it mandatory for the top 1,000 listed companies to give a mandatory disclosure on their BRSR requirements. And this has to be audited by an independent person. So it's not that you just quote some numbers and just get away with it. So there is a lot of regulatory environment also that's working to make sure that the companies work in a sustainable fashion. You know, we do a lot of work with private equities. You know, some of the research says that 93% of the private equities are actually not willing to invest in companies which have a ESG concern, you know. So those are completely closed for those companies which are having a ESG concern, and none of those are willing to invest as well. Look at the positive side. Nearly 50% of the private equities have actually confirmed the increase in the valuation as well as the intrinsic value of the companies, where, you know, people have taken ESG very seriously. So it's not just that, you know, sustainability is just a cost to the companies, is actually adding value to the company, to the overall environment as a whole. So ladies and gentlemen, today I have a very engaging panel, and who are coming with different backgrounds per se. You know, so the thought is just to understand their experiences, you know, what has been their experiences dealing with multiple government agencies, dealing internally within their organization in terms of how sustainability works for them. So I'll start with Dr. Subodh, Pramod, sorry, who has been who heads the legal for Marico, but is also on a multiple panels as well on the government agencies as well. So we just wanted to have his perspective in terms of, you know, how government can help as a policy, you know, in promoting sustainability within the corporate and the retail world as a whole.
Thank you, Naveen, for the setting a tone of today's panel discussion. And to my right and to my left, there are the stars of the industry for sustainability and the business. So as far as the government is concerned, and just a small correction, I am a regulatory head, not legal. So it is a legally wrong to say I am a legal. I am a regulatory head, but it's a fine line between regulatory and legal. As far as the government is concerned, if you see the not only India, entire world is talking about sustainability today, and that is a buzzword. And not because of any of the regulatory compliances, but because of, as you rightly said, the entire investor community is talking about. And our corporate words are not concerned about only government, but they are more concerned about what investor community is talking about. It could be anything, that carbon, it could be sustainability, and the report on the sustainability. Bottom line, top line, and now the third is sustainability. Many of the corporates have actually now publishing sustainability report as an independent report, and the board is giving importance as equal as the bottom line and top line. Both the line are of no use if sustainability is not being met. As far as the government is concerned, if you see, and all my panelists will agree, in last 5 years, the way we are moving towards digitalization, most of the sustainable efforts are being considered. Government is very, very concerned about sustainability and promoting the sustainable way of doing the business in Indian way. And I think my colleague Rajeshwari will speak about why I'm saying Indian way, because we are developing country. We cannot take the target what already developed countries have achieved, and during that we will require to spend something. So that's why the government is also aware about various prohibitions what may not be applicable, and that's why the implementation is not so specific, and rather there is a kind of waivers are being given, or actually the date of implementation being extended. There are 2-3 areas which are concerned, as all my actually the retailers. One is a multi-layered plastic is a concern, and government is very, very keen of banning it and stopping it, and there are the talks, but there is no solution as on today. What could be the practical solution? And one more thing on the plastic, everybody talked about plastic, but concern is not a plastic. Concern is about actually collecting the plastic and putting into the proper format, not blocking the gutters and the environment. I think that is so every government, state or central, is talking about various sustainable ecosystem language and particular nuances to your business. And in coming days, it is not the government, but it is your investor and the shareholders' responsibility, and consumers also talking about. And Naveen, one more thing, after some time it become like a competitive advantage. Suddenly you will find on this label it is written that it is procured from sustainable. Suddenly the consumer will say, oh, it is sustainable, and what about your brand? I think it become a consumer demand, and that is becoming. You say the small example in the Ganapati of today, I was checking, and Maharashtra is celebrating Ganapati. 63% of the total idol of the Ganapati are now moved to the actually the waters more degradable. So 63, 50%, more than 70%, which was 2 years back it was only 25%. So these are the things, and Holi is coming close, and we will be now celebrating again. So yes, government is engaging, government is partnering, and many of you are a part of the various committee, and RAI is putting our efforts, and we want to comply. I will be getting a chance to speak, but I just want to say sustainability is not about external sustainability, it's about making a business profitable is also sustainability. And that is more important. अगर business रहेगा तो sustainability रहेगी boss. अगर bottom line रहेगी तो sustainability रहेगी. So we have to balance out between the practicality and the sustainability. Thank you.
Sure, thanks bro. Just moving on to Rajeshwari in terms of, you have a background from Raymond's, and now sustainable fashion, green fashion are the new buzzwords, but practically we see a difficulty in terms of implementing those because of the cost of the product that's involved in that front. Also, just wanted to have your views also, it's not just that externally people can manage sustainability. There's a lot of internal coordination that has to be done within multiple departments from a driving a sustainability agenda perspective. So just wanted to have your independent views from a fashion industry perspective, how you can drive a sustainability agenda in that industry as well.
Thank you, Naveen, for the question there. Well, fashion industry is one industry which kind of changes with the blink of the eye. You know, every day, every nuance you'll find that something or the other is changing, and therefore the consumption patterns are very fast, and therefore the element of removing and discarding fashion elements are also more there. So one is the manufacturing side of the pollution or the sustainable formats that we need to develop. The other is also the consumer patterns, because of which constantly there is some form or the other that is kind of adding to the pressure on the planet and otherwise. 2-3 elements that I would want to highlight from a sustainable perspective. One thing is to say it is a pure environment perspective. Well, India has moved and is also kind of elaborating from the perspective of the ESG format, which is economic, social and governance. So sustainability is not just the environment perspective, but it is also all these 3 pillars. And as rightly said by my colleague here, that it should also make economic sense. When we say economic sense, it has to be stakeholder, business partner relationship that has to be taken care of. When we talk about stakeholder, it has to be both internal and external. When we talk about external, and to talk of some of those numbers will start definitely from the procurement pillar as well. So where my raw material is coming in, is it in the most sustainable format? What are the elements that we can kind of keep in mind? So all those verticals have to also be kept in mind. The other is the social element of it. One such example, if I can give you from Raymond perspective, and Spin in the legacy as well, is taking together the team that is working with you to make your product sustainable and your business sustainable, and therefore the workers improving their livelihoods. One of the biggest examples is that all our workmen in factories are permanent employees. We engage with them, we upskill them. We also have recently had our add-on with the Northeastern ASSOCHAM, through ASSOCHAM as well. A lot of skilled people whom we kind of upskill and take it to a different level. On the question of product sustainability, we have a very robust R&D pipeline, if I may say so, and because it is a segment or an industry which is both structured and unorganized and organized, therefore there's a mix of both. Raymond, because it has been a leader in this segment, has come in from a very, very long time, so therefore we take pride in saying that we have a very robust R&D format as well. Now when we say R&D format, we have products which have been already launched, which are like Sustainova kind of products, which have sustainable disposal as well. There are products which are stain proof, because of which when you wash, the consumption of water that needs to be used to clean it is lesser. Therefore we save on the water parameter. We have biocrystal kind of formats where we concentrate on the well-being of each livelihood. People who are using those products, their body temperatures are maintained, the infrared rays are kind of given in such a manner that they are able to have a very healthy heartbeat and also have a very sustainable way of living. So governance is one part of it. So addressing it to the retail segment, the stores that we have, the kind of merchandising that we use, the endeavor is to also not only do it from the perspective of India being leveraged as a location, but also local MSMEs being encouraged to give us those kind of raw materials in the most possible manner. The other element is that our factories and all, solar energy is kind of the talk of the town, and it's been there for a very, very long time. But how at different stores, at our factory and manufacturing level, we kind of use it, and we ensure that our carbon footprint is also reduced, are some of those initiatives that we've been kind of doing it in the sustainable environment. So within fashion, despite it is still an unorganized sector, evolving to be a more organized sector, but responsible players like us, like Raymond and many other who are more organized, are taking some very concrete steps towards that.
Thanks. Coming back to you, Nishant, Reliance Retail is one of the fastest growing retail chain in the world. You operate more than 15,000 stores across India. You do have a lot of opportunities in terms of making your stores sustainable as well. And for that, you cannot drive that agenda individually. You do need a lot of help from the real estate owners in terms of what are the processes and what are the things that they can make to make your product, your stores more sustainable. So if you can just share in terms of your experiences of dealing with this entire retail chain, as well as dealing with the individual owners of the assets as well, in terms of how you help them to drive your sustainability agenda as well, and also in terms of some of the initiatives that Reliance has taken to make sure that India becomes much more sustainable from a retail perspective as well.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for calling me for this session. So you rightly said, now we are every corner of India. So at present we are running more than 15,000 stores across India. But if you look at our stores or the variety of stores, so we are having stores from 2,000 square foot to 60,000 square foot area. So, and if I to talk about property, so we have rented properties, we have our own properties, we have some stores in mall properties, our own malls or other malls, and we have also stores at a roadside that we call as a standalone stores. So it will be difficult to have uniform sustainability program for all the stores. So you rightly said, real estate plays very important role in this case. So whenever we will be having stores in the malls, okay, now if that mall management have their sustainability program, so we try to align our sustainability program with their. If not, then we try to implement whatever initiatives we have been decided centrally within our stores. For own properties, yes, we have a total overall control. We have dedicated EPC design team, and with the help of the expertise, we inculcate whatever initiatives we require, whatever parameters set by the organization for the sustainability initiatives. We incorporate those things in the design stage only. And for rented properties, again, it is a challenge. However, whenever we get the proposal for the rented property, leadership just forward the proposal to the HSC and sustainability team. We do the risk assessment as well as aspect impact assessment to understand the gray area, to understand the scope of improvement. And we again consult with our design team to incorporate the recommendations to implement maximum possible initiatives decided by the organization for their particular property. Some initiatives are there, like, for example, there is initiative for energy conservation. Okay, so it can be implemented across all the stores with some modifications. So we are recommending the maximum use of daylight in all our facilities, whether either it is a warehouses or stores. Then, now at present, we have taken one drive that replacement of traditional lights with the LED lights. And believe me, it gave us very good results in the area of energy conservation as well as cost saving parameters. So it is very good, so we succeed for that. Now, whenever we will get the proposal for the new stores opening, at that time we ensure that that particular store must have the LED lights. Again, wherever possible for the big properties, warehouses and stores which have more than 40,000 area, we are replacing air conditioning system with the HVLS fans. HVLS means high volume, low speed fans. And it is also effective tool to increase decrease the carbon footprint. So these are the some issues we can do commonly as per the requirement, and we can make some design changes in the design. Other than this, infrastructure initiatives, which where real estate initiatives, real estate involvement is not required, like plastic reduction in plastic waste, or biodiversity, use of biodegradable materials, packing material, then promotion of organic foods. These are issues we can conduct at everywhere, whether it is a rented property or owned property. So these are some initiatives we are already taking, and again, it is an innovation or the R&D part where we are trying to inculcate most of the things related to sustainability in our properties.
Sure. Thanks, Nishant. So, Bhavika, coming to you from your experience of a QSR industry, it is estimated that nearly 1/4 of the greenhouse emissions are actually caused by the global food systems, and reducing the greenhouse emissions is actually very critical from a sustainability perspective. So, just wanted to have your independent perspective in terms of, what are the practices which are actually followed by a QSR industry, which can help in potentially reducing the greenhouse emissions as well as ethical sourcing of raw materials as well.
Hello, good evening everyone. Thank you, Naveen. Just to begin with and to answer your, the question, I would like to first set a little context and adding to what my co-panelist, mentioned about sustainability. The good part is that since morning that I've been attending some of these sessions, what I've realized is sustainability has now been a part of most of the businesses, and the good part is there is good amount of awareness. Coming to the implementation part, I think the first most important thing is being in a fast moving retail industry. I think things are changing day in, day out. The touch point that the retail industry has is with many stakeholders. Let's take an example of my QSR, that is quick service restaurants. We are called quick service because we really need to act fast when we prepare our food, and which actually means that when we are selling our products or selling our food, it's sold at a very fast speed. Per minute, I would say there are multiple orders, and hence it is very important that whatever we kind of give back to the society has to be in a particular format. Now, coming to three most important pillars that my brand and my sector would follow is, we believe one is food is one of the most important pillar for us. It's a very sensitive issue. We believe that the food that we serve has to be good quality. Second is, and I will kind of give an example to kind of tell you that when I say good quality and when I say real ingredients, what do I mean? The second pillar that we follow is basically the planet, which basically means the sourcing, which you were just talking about. It means how are we partnering or collaborating with our vendors? How do we ensure that the raw material that we procure, which means the oil which we use for cooking, and which is the palm oil, and I'll kind of give an example there as well. Also to do with other logistics, the partners who are kind of manufacturing certain products for us, and then of course the forest preservation and animal welfare. I think this will also fall part of my planet initiative. And the third most important thing that we believe is people in communities. I think a lot of times people in communities is something which organizations don't understand. I completely agree with what Rajeshwari mentioned about how building a community and skill development is so important. So at Burger King also and at QSR sector, we see a lot of skill development that is done. There is a lot of culture diversity. I think the word that we generally use is bringing in a diverse, inclusive culture for brands to operate and people to grow. Coming back, so these are the three most important pillars for us. A lot of people don't know about this. If I have to speak about the first pillar, that is food. All our food products today, okay, and that's the commitment that we have given is free of synthetic colors and artificial flavors. Sustainability also means what you are giving back to the society has to be in a clean form. And again, sustainability does not just mean a product or whatever you're throwing out, but it also means sustainability of life, correct? And that's one of the most important pillar for us is all our food products. We're trying to make food also without preservatives. So I think that's the commitment that the brand has given, thinking that we want to go that path of making food which is no synthetic color, no artificial flavors, and no and no preservatives, which again means that we need to go back to our source. So it's very important for us to collaborate with the brands or the suppliers that we work with daily. Now coming to the planet piece, and as I said, we believe in ensuring that the source that we procure our resources from has to be clean. One of the very sensitive topic is the palm oil. We all know that it's very sensitive to deforestation, and there are multiple examples of how do we bring sustainability in this side of procurement. And as a brand, there's a commitment to kind of purchase this oil from suppliers and vendors who are registered with the Roundtable Sustainable Palm Oil organizations which are certified. Again, talking about the planet, there is an initiative which as a brand we take is how do we logistically supply our food. One of the initiative was to electrify all our fleet vehicles, where we are going to get food to the people at large. And if I talk about various other things on sustainability, of course there's energy conservation which we kind of try and do. As a company and also as an individual, I think sustainability is not just a problem for the brand or for the company or for the CEO of the company. I feel it's something which is personal to each one of yours present over here, plus to all of us and our survival. Because we all know at a larger level, the way today climate action is something which is the talk of the town. People have been talking about the way the climate is, and the glacier is melting. I think it's very important for each brand to understand that switching, it's as simple as switching off a light when you're not going to use it. Or as simple as how do you conserve energy at your home place, or how do you decide to travel today. A lot of times we want to, go, I think pooling is a very cool thing, and which I think got introduced with a lot of pre-COVID, I think by Ola and Uber. But I think, it's time that we go back. There are small things that brands need to think and then, bring it to play. That's to do with, how QSR is basically tackling today and dealing with sustainability issues.
Thanks, Bhavika. Laksh, coming to you from a, footwear industry perspective, more than 20 billion pairs of shoes being manufactured across the globe. And, there are claims that nearly 1.4% of global greenhouse emissions are from the footwear industry. We see some trends moving around in terms of, sustainable footwear as well. But that's a very limited play that we see in India as of now. So just wanted to have, your perspective in terms of where you see a common barrier or a challenge, towards footwear sustainability. We see, though there is some movement that has happened on apparel reuse, but that is still not picked up from a footwear perspective. So what would be your independent view from a Skechers perspective that, how we can help in reuse of our footwear as well?
Sure. Thank you, Naveen, and good evening, everyone. So there are, I think there are a couple of questions which you've put together, Naveen, and I'll try to answer those to the best of my capabilities. So while we know that, there are roughly about 20 billion footwear being produced globally yearly, and we talk about the population globally is about, 8 billion. So roughly if we talk about, there are about average 3 pairs being consumed by a consumer, globally, which is fairly high. And, unfortunately, the footwear industry is also being tagged as, one of the key industries where we are contributing more towards, water pollution as well as, the air pollution and earth pollution. So on that front, I would say that there has been, Naveen, some work which definitely has happened in the industry, in the footwear industry, but there is a long way to, go. Now, if I talk about Skechers, so Skechers as a brand, we have been working towards, a lot of innovation. We have always been as the leader and pioneers in offering a comfort to the consumer, and we are the most comfort, providing footwear to the consumers. And we are taking that ahead to say that we would also make it sustainable for the race to come. And there are a couple of initiatives which as Skechers we are taking, just to start with. So I think it is not just one point in sustainability. I think it is every aspect what a brand needs to own towards, creating that sustainability for the future. So let's talk about, quick couple of 5 pillars which we can talk about. So first is about procurement. In terms of procurement, if we see, there is a lot of development which has happened in terms of sustainable, or recyclable products. Sure. There are, if we talk about shoes, so shoes, upper materials are now made from recyclable nylon, recyclable polyester, recyclable cotton. Also, there is development which is happening towards, plant-based materials, which is bamboo, which is algae, eucalyptus, and cactus. So all of this is coming into the play and industry is working towards it. With Skechers, we've already started doing that. Okay. We talk about, the shoes inner lining. Inner lining, we have products in Skechers where we are 100% recyclable, materials which are using in the inner lining of the shoes. We talk about the midsole or the outsoles. 50% or more is what we are using the compounds as recyclable. So in the end, what we are trying to do is source responsibly. That is what I think is one beginning of how a product should evolve. We have a complete range of sustainable products called Our Planet Matters, and that is what we are offering to our consumers. Second part comes in, how do we package it? So in terms of packaging as well, Skechers has taken a good leap on that, and all our packaging is FCS certified. Our outer carton boxes, our shoe boxes, the tissue papers which are used, inside the packaging, we are trying to ensure that it is 100% recyclable at least. Third point, if we go on to, our store designs. So, like what was mentioned, earlier on the panel as well, smaller initiatives. All 100% of our stores in India are based on LEDs. So that is where, the energy conservation, has started for us.
Sure.
We are also, proud to say that hopefully in another couple of days, we should be launching the first IGBC certified store for Skechers in India, and that would be in Jaipur. So which means that we are trying to build up, the building as well, which is more towards sustainability and, bringing green towards the human race. So there are a lot of different efforts which are being made in the industry by the brands to try and ensure that, the brands lead it, because that is how, the consumers are going to get, tied up to the brand as a offering, because consumer earlier was looking at maybe comfort, maybe fashion, but now there is so much consciousness where a consumer says that, okay, what have you as a brand, done for sustainability?
Yeah.
Are you thinking for the future or not? We are teaching our kids in the schools, but what is the current generation, doing that? So with Skechers, I think we have taken a big leap on that front, and we will continue to, sustain that. The challenge with our Indian, because you mentioned, the Indian manufacturers, recently, if you see the BIS, norms have come in, and along with that, Make in India is being promoted, by our respected Prime Minister as well. So on that front, the challenge I foresee for the Indian industry would be with restriction of imports. It would be on new innovations in terms of raw materials. How do our industry innovates and comes up with the new materials, best practices, solutions, which can drive the sustainability for a longer period of time? It is not about one or two products here and there, or it's not about one process. It's about, a paradigm shift or a mindset change where probably companies would maybe need to invest in this now, because 15 to 20% or more the cost is going to increase. So your profits are going to come down, but what is it? Is it for the good of the future? And that's what companies would need to probably take a stand on and give into it. So that's my take, Naveen.
No, thanks, Lakshya. So you definitely expect that companies will have to invest, and give up some of part of their profitability to make sure that we have a sustainable future as well. Sure, thanks. Coming to you, Shrikant, more from a Spencer's perspective, you have multiple outlets, you have multiple brands within you, and you have been driving a sustainable agenda across the company as a whole. How are you dealing with your external vendors, something which is not within your control? How do we drive a sustainable agenda with the vendors which you're dealing with, and is there some specific incentives that you pay to them from a sustainability perspective?
Yeah, thanks Naveen, and good evening everyone. Luckily we embrace this as a one of core value, our group core value. We are part of a large group where we have more than 2,500 megawatt thermal based generation stations, and we have around 300 megawatt renewable sources under solar and hydel. So we realized this long back, and considering this, one of our core value is sustainability along with other values. So with this experience, 8-9 years ago, then we discussed that how we can make use, harness the synergy what we are having with our group experience. So what we realized that we identify certain properties, and wherever we have a facility, we went and installed solar plants. Luckily, we got 50% subsidy from the central government at that time. 40% was subsidy, and under some scheme they have given another 10% subsidy. At that time, per 100 kilowatt, it used to cost around 1 crore. And today, after 6 years, every day we are generating around 500 units. It's half megawatt. We are generating, and we are saving an annual. It's roughly it's into 10 into 12 into 30 into 12. This is the amount we are generating. If I tell in terms of coal, every day we are saving around 1 ton of coal. To generate this solar power, they need to have a thermal. They need to burn this coal of 1 ton. So this is we have installed, and we found that this is successful. So wherever our new property is coming, they inbuilt we are we are making a facility. We are making a capex plans to install this. This is the one area where we adopted. And second thing, like everyone said, that EMS, energy management services, being in food and grocery, our major power generation is under refrigeration. So we realized that how we need to control this, because irrespective of the store open or closed, 365 days you need to run your refrigeration. So we tied up with one of the leading energy management solutions with the help of IoT. We monitor this. They monitor continually, and it's on a revenue basis. Whatever they save, they'll get X percentage and we'll get X percentage. So this was also successful. Like in addition to that, other normal LEDs and all, we also did it. As a second thing, coming to your specific question about what we are doing with our vendors which are not in our control. See, like every other company, we also have a vendor enlistment process. We have typical standards for every vendor based on his sourcing, based on his production, manufacturing, storage, distribution. We allowed certain percentage of grading to him. So under this, some 3-4 years back, we introduced another head under sustainability. The way he procuring, the way he using, simply 3 RR. Not RRR of Rajmouli's, it's about reduce, reuse and recycle. So we given 5 points for each. So how is sourcing? In fact, not only this sustainability, how ethically is sourcing. Like other companies, they take undertaken FCPA, UK Bribery Act and all. So we are not going into that. We simply how ethically is sourcing. How what are the natural, what are the renewable energy sources is adapting in converting this into a repacking or a production and manufacturing. Though our quality team will inspect and physically visit the premises, inspect, and they'll grade this according to him. If he get, he'll get some favorable wins. See, we adopted this from government. We found some Kerala government. If they give property tax rebate of 2% those who adopt these green initiatives. So from that we borrowed this principle and we incorporated in our vendor listing. And third thing, internally, we made a paperless like every other ways. We adopted this. Government, we also need to, like Prabodh sir already said, government has done a lot of, we have 35 lakhs companies incorporated under Companies Act. And each company has to maintain certain registers. And if it's a labor related oriented industry, so they need to maintain around 60 registers. So multiply all these things. Today we are maintaining everything digital. We reduce the cost, we reducing the carbon. So we are working towards a decarbonization. Internally we have set a targets. We need to achieve net zero. We have a target, but right now I'm not sharing my internal target rate. But we have this year, next 3 years, I'll achieve this much of green gas emissions reduction, and next this many years, I'll bring a carbon zero. Because what happens like power savings, because it costs around 4 to 5% of the expenses. If I reduce this, like everyone said, it's also impact our bottom line, and this will make. And lastly, what we are doing is, we eliminated non-disposable, single-use plastic or everything. We partnered with the DRDO. DRDO has come up with biodegradable, it's a green plastic. Because they want to work for the soldiers in Siachen, they developed some plastic. They can even throw in ice, within 60 days it will be melted, it will absorb. So we partnered with them and we are using that, their plastic. Their shelf life is 90 days, after that it dissolves into the soil. So these are the initiatives we are doing, but having said that, this is not enough. We need to further work around this and further strengthen our measures so that we achieve our net zero much earlier than our target.
Sure, thanks, Shrikant. So I think we heard a lot from players in the sector. Manan, coming to you in the last was a different strategy because you are not from the sector, but you can support a sector a lot from a technology perspective. So basis your experience with Bosch in terms of how do you feel technology can help all the players across the panel now in terms of promoting sustainability as well now? And technology comes at a cost, and then there are concerns as well that technology is also carbon emissions. So just wanted to have your perspective on that front.
Thanks, Naveen, for clarifying why you came last to me. Being last on the last panel of the day, it's very exciting. Let me say this. Yeah. But just, jokes apart, I think whatever, discussion we have had so far in the last 40 minutes or so, I think technology is the underlying, enabler for achieving anything and everything the esteemed panel said today, right? So I think technology is not an afterthought. It is, the whole world is changing around and it is omnipresent everywhere. Before we spoke about omni-channels, technology has been omnipresent, forever. And if you look around us, the whole world is now changing at a spiraling rate, right? Now, that is the actionable with technology, right? The problems that technology can solve is everything that the panelists spoke about, right? From resilient supply chains to recyclable materials, to actually material science for newer materials that have been discovered now, to energy management systems for retail, and even blockchain systems, for example, to drive the circular economy, to track how your end components are being disposed and things like that, and to have the tracking and efficiency right through your value chain and the supply chain, right? So technology is omnipresent, right? Now, but if you look at what Sir said about Digital India as well, right? I believe that technology is always, introduced around three levers in any company, right? Be it sustainability, be it anything else, right? And that's what we need to think about when we talk about sustainability as well, right? A digitization technology for any enterprise typically drives 3 to 4 agendas, right? First agenda is that how can let's start with retail, right? For retail, the most important thing is consumers, right? So how can I drive better consumer experience with technology? Yeah. The second agenda that technology drives is that how can I make my operations more efficient to affect the bottom line, right? That means I save costs by, being more efficient. And the third agenda usually is that how can I now use this lever of technology to drive new revenue streams, new business models, come up with new areas, omni-channel being one, for example, and things like that, right? And all of these three are done around a central circle of change management. So technology also helps you to achieve that change, to have, things around these three levers. Now, the thing that happens with sustainability, for example, is people imagine sustainability as a fourth lever, which is not true. Yeah? And I really agree with what Sir said about business sustainability, right? Now, if you imagine sustainability and technology at the intersection of all these three layers, that is where value creation happens, right?
Precisely.
So value creation happens at the when you imagine points at intersection, that's where value creation really happens. Now you imagine technology, right, driving sustainability while affecting your efficiency of your company, right? Why do we say that manufacturing companies or the manufacturing part of retail has hit sustainability targets first? As Bosch ourselves, all our manufacturing plants have been CO2 neutral since 2020, right? But I can't say the same about my retail stores. Right? And why is that? Because we feel that we have better control and, operationalizing around, manufacturing sites is easier. But that's not true. The reason is that in plants, the moment IoT or an Industry 4.2 was introduced, we were always talking about efficiency. So what does efficiency mean? We are doing more for less. By doing more for less, we are actually consuming less carbon. We are actually emitting less, carbon, and we are actually moving towards that direction. So now when you imagine this, and I can take several examples, right? Now you imagine an intersection. So this would be an intersection of efficiency, right? Right from your resilient supply chains to, doing more for less, and having energy management systems, having, trying to track and reduce your overall, emissions and things like that, right? Now, if you imagine it from a customer experience point of view, right? There are several technologies which are possible, which will then integrate customer experience with sustainability with technology, right? And similarly for new revenue streams. Now, there are so many brands which are coming up and, you know, bringing it out on the table that we are a sustainable brand, our products are sustainable, our stores are sustainable, and that is driving consumer behavior towards attracting them towards those stores, right?
Exactly.
So when you look at technology from those intersection points, that's where I think value creation happens. But just on the last few notes on retail, and because today we are talking about not general technology and sustainability and things like that, right? I need to take a counterpoint, right? I've attended several events and I'm part of first panel here on this topic. We say that the awareness problem is solved, right? That means there is enough carrot and stick in the world, there is enough awareness about trying to being sustainable, and when I hear the esteemed panel here, and I really feel that we are doing a lot, right? But when as technology providers we go to decision makers, the first question is, "Arey, ye kyun karna hai?" You know, and ye karna hai to theek hai, ye mere store mein kar do. But that whole central policy making or centrally strategizing that. So there are two kind of, brands that we are facing, right? And as technology providers, and most technology providers will agree, right? The first kind are that who have central strategy around sustainability. They have sustainability departments, and, you know, with large MNCs this is being driven, and I'm very proud that I heard two brands talking about it today as well, right? But the problem that we are faced with some of them, not necessarily all of them, but with some of them, is that while there are great strategies, the operationalizing of that strategy is always a challenge. Because in retail there's an added challenge of franchisee model, COCO model, COFO model, and all of that, and how much control can you really have? While in manufacturing and supply chains you have full control as such. Yeah? So operationalizing becomes a challenging part. The second element that we are faced is there are a lot of operation managers who are thinking of sustainability at their localized sites, but no collaboration in the team.
Across
right?
the company as a
So
whole.
how can we drive this collaborative initiative, and that's coming to your topic of the panel as well. How can we collaborate at this intersection points and drive value through fit for purpose technologies for retail, right? Just last example, for example, we spoke about energy management solutions and energy, efficient solutions for retail, and people trying to get into pay per save model. You save and then you get paid and things like that. Now, when large brands like all of the brands here imagine this problem from their manufacturing to their warehousing to their retail, there are a lot of effective solutions possible where ROI is very quick, right? When you imagine it only from, hey, how much energy saving would be there from this, then the ROI becomes questionable. But when you look at, will it drive transparency? Today, companies are driving two separate technologies, one for reporting, one for energy savings. Can't the energy saving become part of your transparency journey and then start the reporting journey? And you look at the roadmap which is possible by implementing such technologies. I know decision making is not simple, and that's the journey that we all have to live to. But I just think that, having that larger picture and the collaborative mindset to drive change at these intersection points will really, drive us on that accelerated path towards embracing these goals and implementing and really seeing value, so that this question goes away that, hey, where's the ROI? I hate this question, to be honest, yeah. But that's the thought process that, at least as a technology provider, I have. Yeah.
Thanks, Manan. Sure, you had some closing.
Just last point, after having so much of GAN or so much of knowledge, and then people are actually sitting for sustainable drinking also after this, so 7:30. So I have a question, like we talk about sustainability and corporate responsibility, but personal sustainable responsibility, everybody need to be. I just want to, because those who are above 40, I don't want to ask the age, but those who are above 40. For us, wearing the elder brother or sister's dress or shoes is a very common thing. How many of you wore the dress of your, all of, yes?
Yeah.
But there are few things which we can start doing, smart way, sustainable way. How many are you on the DigiLocker? Believe me, you are saving a lot of energy for losing out your important documents, but Xeroxing is not required. DigiLocker is the original. Please log on, digital. Amazing. Decriminalization, what has happened? More than 35, ma'am? You said 35 criminal act has been decriminalized. Amazing. But last point what I am to say, because I am a food technologist, nutrition expert, take care of your health. If you are not well, you are the most unsustainable person in the family. If you are not well, you will produce more carbon dioxide, not otherwise. But because you are not well, so please do 30 minutes of exercise. How many you do 30 minutes of exercise? Please, I want all the hands up. बॉस हेल्थ है तो वेल्थ है, नहीं तो बाकी सब ज्ञान है, कुछ नहीं है. सो लास्ट मैसेज आई वांट टू गिव, सस्टेनेबल पहले हेल्थ से शुरुआत करो, बाद में वेल्थ आएगी. थैंक यू.
No, thanks, Dr. Pranam. So, thanks a lot to my panel members for this engaging discussions. I think we have overshot time, but all the panel members are available around in case you want to have more clarity, more discussions. Most of us are around. Thanks a lot to the entire audience as well for being patient. I think we were the only 8 people who were keeping you away from your dinner as well, you know. So thanks a lot to everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ankur Katani and the entire panel. You haven't kept them away from dinner, you've whetted their appetite, so they'll go into dinner with even better appetites. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request Dr. Hitesh Bhatt, Director Marketing and Communication, Retailers Association of India, and Editorial Director at Storai, to kindly present mementos to each of the panelists. To Mr. Abhishek Bajpai. Okay, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I've got the wrong list. Bhavna Dave, Dr. Prabodh Halde. Mr. G.R. Srikanth. Lakshay Nijavan. Manan Chandana. Nishant Patel. And Rajeshwari Shukla. And our most distinguished moderator, Mr. Naveen Malpani. So behind you, sir. Okay, we'll now have a photograph with all our distinguished dignitaries on stage. And thank you very much, Mr. Naveen Malpani, Bhavika Dave, Dr. Prabodh Halde, G.R. Srikanth, Lakshay Nijavan, Manan Chandra, Nishant Patel, and Rajeshwari Shukla. Thank you so much. That was a very, very engaging and engrossing panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, that we come to the end of the business session on day 1 at Retail Leadership Summit 2023. We begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning sharp, and we'd like to see you in your seats by 9:50 a.m. For those of you who have invitations, we'll see you later in the evening right here for the India Retail Champion and the Retail Startup Awards and a networking evening. Thank you very much. Good evening. God bless.